Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
The Carolina Panthers have tagged Brian Burns, decided to cut bait with Hayden Hurst, and one has to wonder, if Dan Morgan has got it together, or if he's commanding a sinking ship. Well, 50% of Twitter will tell him he doesn't know ball. And I sure ain't no football expert, but I am a expert football fan. And you're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Each week I do it with my wheelman, Cody Lack. How you doing, my man?
Tony Dunn, the football gods have blessed us on a Tuesday because we have news regarding Brian Burns. We have news regarding Dante Jackson, Hayden Hurst. We have a big-time show tonight. You can see the tides of change creeping in on the Carolina Panthers. It's a Tuesday night, so you know there's nowhere I'd rather be than sitting here, hanging with my boys, talking Carolina Panthers with the best damn fans in all of YouTube. Tony Dunn, you know him and love him. It's our guy, Panther Pickle. What's up, Jay the Snake F.U. D from Sanford, Smiley, what's up? Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, James Lane, Michael Wydrick, what's up, bro? Promise Panda, Roosevelt Mongo, Tim Estes, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. We'd like to get your opinion on Brian Burns signing the non-exclusive franchise tag, reports that Dante Jackson's going to be released. Also, Hayden Hurst being released for sure. Will the Carolina Panthers be able to free up some cap room by restructuring Taylor Moton? How will the Brian Burns saga pan out? Call in at 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the show. Be a part of the chat. CK, how you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing great, and you really can't ask for more things to happen around this time of the year than what we've seen happen. Especially for a team like the Panthers. I'm excited that action is being taken. I know a lot of people aren't exactly thrilled with the fact that it doesn't appear as there's a long-term plan for Brian Burns as of this moment. But man, I can't speak of any better situation for us to be in right now. If people want to give us 2 firsts for Brian Burns, great. If not, he's going to be here, hopefully not holding out. And that way we don't have to build from another perspective of this defense where, there would be a big hole left. Let's not mince words. Him leaving would have left a pretty major hole in this defense. So there's still a positive to be taken from this.
North Carolina, legal sports betting is right around the corner. To get you ready, DraftKings is offering their best sign-up offer for new users. All you have to do is register for DraftKings using our code FSBETS, and you will receive $100 in bonus bets on launch day. No deposit is required. Once betting goes live, you can deposit and bet $5 or more instantly, receive $200 in bonus bets. The best part is that you get all your rewards, even if your $5 first bet loses. Registering with our code FSBETS not only gets you these fantastic bonuses, but also directly supports the podcast. The $100 extra bonus bets for signing up will not be available once sports betting officially goes live. So make sure you take advantage while you can. Remember to enter our promo code FSBETS to claim your $300 in bonus bets. This offer is available for new customers who are 21 and over and physically present in North Carolina. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer. Cody Lack, let's jump into tonight's show. Panthers tag Brian Burns and cut Hayden Hurst. Are they dead in the water? I put here, Dan Morgan's yelling, swim to the tag as he's tossing Hayden Hurst overboard. The news, and really, I'm frankly exhausted talking about Brian Burns, but the Carolina Panthers placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on Brian Burns, which will allow, first, he's going to be franchise tagged unless another team, he's allowed to talk and negotiate with other teams. If they put in an offer sheet and the Carolina Panthers do not decide to match that offer, they will have to exchange 2 first-round picks at the minimum. I'm sure there's ways to negotiate that if you decided to tag and trade. Those would not be 2 first-round picks this year, be 1 this year, 1 next year. I think he has till March 13th to get this accomplished. I don't think it's going to happen.
I love this little reply, by the way, that Mike K gave to you on Twitter.
Yeah, I tweeted this out today, and it's really, frankly, this is talking to all. I've been exhausted by the Brian Burns talk. Is that as everything on the internet is polarized and charged? There are 2 camps. There's very little in between. But I cannot see a team deciding to give up 2 firsts unless they offer like $1. And Brian Burns wouldn't take that, right? You know what I'm saying? Is like, so they would have to give him a significant contract and commit 2 first-round picks to this player. And I just frankly don't believe the rest of the NFL sees Brian Burns as an impact player like a lot of Panther fans do. Mike K tweeted this in response to my tweet. He said, the Panthers' leverage in negotiation with the franchise tag equals that no teams will give up 2 firsts. So really, the Panthers, I think, are trying to call his bluff right now.
Yeah, I really think that's what it is. I think they're trying to show Brian Burns, okay, look, it's not just us that doesn't think you're quite worth the dollar amount that you're asking for right now. And again, Tony, I echo everything that you said. As a Panther fandom, we're so tired of the Brian Burns discussion because, like, it's getting to the point where it's like you either love Brian Burns and think that he's the best edge in the NFL, or you're construed to be like you think he's a trash football player that doesn't mean anything and he's overrated. And the truth is somewhere in the middle. We would love to have Brian Burns, and we think that he's a good player. And we also know that it's going to be ridiculously hard to not only replace him, but find another edge rusher that the Panthers also still need. However, I do feel like the Panthers are signaling that they don't want to be handicapped by Brian Burns' contract for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is a team that is in a rebuild mode. I know we argued about that the other day about rebuild or whatever, but I think that the Panthers are standing strong on their stance. And if I'm a betting man, I think that Brian Burns will play 1 more year for the Carolina Panthers under the franchise tag. And then I think he'll be out the door for nothing.
This discussion has been complicated by 2 things, CK. One is going into last season, Brian Burns was coming off of his statistically best year, 12.5 sacks, made a Pro Bowl. But then rumors surfaced that the Los Angeles Rams at one point had offered 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns.
Yeah.
So this spurred a big conversation among Panther fans that you should have taken that deal then. Then once you didn't, you told Brian Burns what you saw his value as. The Carolina Panthers were unable to extend and make a deal with him this year. And in some ways, Brian Burns has some leverage because the Carolina Panthers don't have any players on, or really any talent.
Right.
And another way, he doesn't have as much leverage because he didn't have a great season last year statistically. While he was important to the team stunk. He didn't put up the numbers. And right now, it looks like they're not ready to pay him for the long term.
No, I mean, I think that's pretty clear based on the actions taken with this. The fact that we haven't been able to come up with a long-term deal. I don't want to even say it's to the point where they're calling his bluff. I think they're saying we value you so much that we think that if you can't, like, the only way we're getting rid of you is with 2 first-round draft picks, and that's it. Like, that's the only way that you're leaving this team this year. So I don't even look at it as a negative or a slight on him. The fact that we're putting the tag on him tells me exactly how they value him in that front office. And a lot of people might argue that that's not the case, but the actions of this, the front office speak louder than the opinions of people on X, right? So at the end of the day, I'm happy that he's still here. If we get the 2 first, I'll be ecstatic. I think this is a win-win for Panthers across the board. Now, the question then becomes, I don't even know that Brian Burns is going to be, feel negative about this situation. And the reason I say that is I think that, number one, he probably does see his value of being worth 2 first rounds and worth a big contract. But I also think that the Panthers are going to be working overtime on the back end, still trying to work out a deal if for whatever reason another team is not willing to give him that deal. I just don't think it's going to be the end of the world as people might see it, whether you're a Brian Burns fan or a hater of what he's done. I think one bad year isn't worthy of us just saying that he is trash. And nobody, I don't think many people are arguing that, by the way. I think it's just people are arguing, is his worth, the same as Joey Bosa's or Nick Bosa or any of these, top guys. And until, we just didn't see that. He wasn't, even when he was matched with a guy like Reddick, he still wasn't the primary pass rusher for this defense. And so I think a lot of people will call back to that season and say, he still was, even when you argue that he's never had somebody, when he did have somebody, he still wasn't outperforming the other guy. And that guy didn't get paid what Nick Bosa got paid.
No.
And he's about to be potentially traded again.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Is one thing is, look, is Brian Burns clearly, this is the moment that any player, particularly a first round pick after their 5th season, they need to, this is the time you get paid, right? You want to get this big contract at this point in your career. I think the other thing, though, is that the Carolina Panthers, while they may value him as a player, I don't think this is necessarily just a dollar amount of $2 or $3 million that we can't agree on. I think what this tells us is that the Carolina Panthers feel uncomfortable investing in Brian Burns as the mainstay of the defense for the long term. And what you said here is this is a very good player, but is he a player that you can then put average players around and build a defense around? And we haven't been able to do that. Cody, for me, this is less to do with how much Brian Burns wants to get paid and more about the Carolina Panthers just don't feel like they're in a place to sink a ton of money in any single position until they garner more talent across the board on this team.
Yeah. Right. And listen, let's be real. What we're deciding to do with Brian Burns is completely different if this is a team that was looking to contend next year.
Right.
If we were looking to make a legitimate push, then Brian Burns, we would have made sure that he got paid. But the fact of the matter is, whenever you sign your rookie contract, man, you turn that hourglass upside down and that sand starts to trickle down into the bottom half. And if you look at Brian Burns's, that sand is gone. A lot of people have made the argument that, well, he's the only pass rusher worth a damn on the Panthers. Put talent around him. And while there is some truth to that, the time in which to do so has come to an end. Now it's time to do the right thing by the Carolina Panthers for their own salary cap, but also for Brian Burns. You think he doesn't want to go and be the final piece of a contending football team like a Detroit Lions, a Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens? All these would be incredible for him. And yes, he would be that final piece for them. But for us, we know what the mission is right now. It's build an offense around Bryce Young. Do it on the O-line, do it at the wide receiver position, and it's looking like we're going to utilize both the free agent period and the draft in which to do so. I've already moved on.
The difficulty with this, though, is that while the hourglass with the Panthers has run out, that is the ultimate problem here, is that the Carolina Panthers without being able to, I mean, really, they're going to have to hope to seek a trade partner. And that trade partner is either going to have to make him play for 1 year on the franchise tag, or they're going to have to already be willing to negotiate a contract that is acceptable to him. The problem that the Panthers face right now is twofold. One is that if Brian Burns, if you tag him and you just say, hey, we're just going to tag you, this is the best we can do. You get paid a lot. We get a player for a year. The problem is you let him walk into free agency without acquiring any assets unless you tag him again.
Right.
Right. And then on the other hand is that so it almost would stink for the Panthers to not trade him. Like, because the $24 million that he's going to get paid this year eats up a significant amount of the salary cap on a team that's no good.
But there's also, here's the other piece, and I know this is a long shot, but we have seen players do this regularly. And if for some potential miraculous way we're able to actually have success as a team next year, there is a chance that Brian Burns wants to come back and see it through to the end, and so it may not be that he needs to have this crazy dollar amount, but if he sees the vision of what this team is going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be a massive hometown discount, but it's not going to be bad team price tag that we would have right now, potentially next year. And the other part of it is you could say we're tagging you now, but the hope is that we're going to be able to do something more substantial next year with you and Derek Brown, and you both can come out feeling like things are better for you because the salary cap's going up. You see what's going to happen with our numbers next year. We just don't have the ability to pay you what you need this year, and the salary, being able to do the franchise tag right this second, gives you a guarantee that money's yours.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the relationship is not unrepairable between the two.
I mean, if a relationship was unrepairable, it was the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson when this same thing happened, right? That was probably
they ended up paying him, and anytime you pay
exactly.
somebody, that makes it repairs it. They didn't make him play. Did they make him play 1 year under the franchise tag the year before? I can't remember if it was the second year they hit him again with a non-exclusive.
No.
But the question is that, like, for Brian Burns, the scary part is the risk you took last year is by not agreeing to a deal that you didn't think was ideal at that moment, that you went into a season and your stock went down. So for Brian Burns, any day that he doesn't sign a contract is also a risk that his contract won't ever come, or that big contract won't come. I think the scariest part is the Carolina Panthers not being able to reach a deal with him, not acquiring any assets. So one thing is for certain, or I think will happen, is if Brian Burns gets traded, a lot of Panther fans are going to be upset because they have that 2 first-round pick thing in their ear from the Rams. Now they hear it with the non-exclusive tag that is, and nobody's going to give you that.
No.
So you might get a second and a third for Brian Burns, or you might get a second and a fifth, or a third and a fifth, or something like this.
Well, let's run through this. Do we feel like there's no team that would be willing to do this? I
don't think there's a single one.
He's coming off an 8-sack season. I'm sorry. It's just, I think the Panther fans believe that Brian Burns can be an elite pass rusher. I don't think the rest of the football world has the emotional investment. We heard Dave Canales say that when he evaluated the roster, one of the benefits he has is not having the emotional ties to this.
Yeah, I love the honesty of that too, man.
There's no other team that's going to say, hey, we're willing, that we believe. First, does anybody truly believe Brian Burns is the final piece? I think they would say, oh, he's an exciting piece.
I think what we're talking about is he would have to go to be a final piece, and this is to Cody's point. He would be a final piece on a team that already has elite players on the defense. And the problem with that situation is those guys are all they're not going to have the cap space to pay Brian Burns the amount of money that he would need to be able to be paid. And here's the argument. Here's the reason that I don't think there's a single player or a single team that would do this. The Rams were willing to trade 2 first-round draft picks a year and a half ago when you still had a half a year and his fifth year option on his rookie deal to be able to play through. This is the same issue you ran into with Lamar Jackson. They put the exclusive franchise tag on him because Lamar wanted to have money guaranteed, which is also, rumor is that's the reason that this is being held up for Brian Burns, is he wants this to be fully guaranteed. And so if we're having that issue and other teams had that issue with Lamar Jackson, a quarterback, and they still weren't willing to trade 2 first-round draft picks and pay him the contract that he wanted, why do we feel like that's going to be any different for an edge rusher who is right now? You cannot argue he's a top 5 edge rusher.
Not at all. And last point, and we move on from it, Cody, is no team is going to do this, and a team that's one piece away isn't as desperate to get one player. The teams that are good, that good, don't do stuff like this. And don't bring up the Rams where they traded for a quarterback and they've been active in the trade market and things like this. Is that the idea? This is like what the Bears traded for Khalil Mack back in the day, but Khalil Mack was like a 120 sack player by that point, and he was still we're talking about potential. Can you risk 2 first-round picks on a very good team for potential? I think that is naive. I think it is speaking with emotion. The Carolina Panthers did make another move or announced another move, and this one, honestly, I'm not terribly a big fan of this one. Now, while Hayden Hurst did nothing for the Carolina Panthers last year, he missed the last 8 games because of a concussion where he got amnesia, all of this stuff. We clearly saw that Hayden Hurst was just not utilized in this offense at all. It wasn't just him not being good. It was never targeting him at all.
Right.
The problem, and the thing that I don't understand entirely about this, and maybe some people can explain it to me, particularly on the cat calls, is that while this frees up $2 million roughly, we still have $8 million in dead money, I believe.
Like 9, I think, actually.
And so to me, if you're going to pay him, put him on the roster and use him as a backup. I don't understand this entirely. The Carolina Panthers are trying to get, it looks like, more talented. Explain this to me, Cody, what this is telling us.
Well, yeah. So we also know that Hurst being released, he will likely be designated a post-June 1st release, freeing up $2.1 million of 2024 cap space. And yeah, it just seems to me like this was a move to get them out of paying more money. I guess it frees up a little bit. And I don't know, let's be real though, like as 2 people that were excited about Hayden Hurst and what he might do, he was not very good last year.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem saying that.
And again, no matter who you brought back, you're bringing them back under the assumption that, when we get a better team around these guys, maybe we'll see the best version of themselves. But again, I don't think most Panther fans expect this team to be great next year anyway. It's a rebuild, man. Dave Canales and Dan Morgan are building this team in their vision. And I think Hayden Hurst was just a byproduct of that. So Hayden will be going on to his 5th or 6th team.
Yeah.
He's been in the NFL or something crazy like that.
For me, though, and while I understand, hey, look, you free up $2 million in cap space. You free up a roster spot to bring in people that you believe in more. The thing that is, though, if we're going to listen to the argument that the reason you need to sign Brian Burns, though, is because you don't have any players and you're just going to have another hole to fill. For me, we're going to have to fill a tight end hole here, which is really gross sounding. We have to fill a tight end hole. Ugh. But you're paying for him anyway. And I would compare this a little bit to if we release Miles Sanders. And everybody says, look, Miles Sanders is trash. Miles Sanders is trash. And that may be the case. But you're going to pay him.
Oh, yeah. And to be specific, Tony, by cutting Hayden Hurst, the Panthers would take on $9.8 million in dead money. Carolina has him on the books for $5.75 million guaranteed this season. They're absorbing that cost to move on.
So if anything, actually, maybe this is the case right here, is by cutting him this year and absorbing that cap money this year, What we're really planning on is having more latitude next year in free agency. When you come off of some of these deals, when you shed some of the dead money that's still there, probably from Christian McCaffrey or whoever the hell, maybe this and so the idea is if you keep him around this year, yes, you're going to have to pay him, but you won't have that as much savings the following season. And right. I guess we're just trying to load for the 2025 free agency by doing this.
Yeah, I think these are the interesting thing is I feel like this current administration is trying to actually do a rebuild. Like, I think that's I think everything that we've had since the latter part of Cam Newton's career has been a retooling, as they say. But I feel like the moves that are being made right now are a clear indication that this is a group of front office people, of coaches that are ready to build this thing up from the ground up. You know, you have a couple of guys on rookie contracts that are important that they're on rookie contracts. And honestly, this could be a nail in the coffin for Bryce Young if his career next year doesn't take a dive in the right direction. Because that tells me, again, a rookie QB is more valuable than the fact that we would have a guy who hasn't shown that he's able to be a starter in this league at that point in time.
I think that's an excellent point. What we know about this Panthers team, and you can tell me that we've argued about how good this defense was ad nauseum about last year. Right. And CK has the best line. He calls it fool's gold. I 100% believe that this team lacks talent across the board. So what you're talking about, CK, is exactly right, is that we're finally just recognizing that it's time to really start building for a future that isn't just tomorrow. And that's really go back to Brian Burns, why I don't think it's wise for the Carolina Panthers to sink a ton of money into him. And it's not a referendum on him as a player. I understand why players want to get paid. I root for them to get paid. I don't think this is a matter of $2 or $3 million, because if it was $2 or $3 million a season, then we could just cut a Hayden Hurst or whoever to make that money up. Right. I think it's about this is that the Carolina Panthers want to establish new pieces that they believe are foundational pieces to build around. And if you even look at this, somebody said that we have one of the higher paid offensive lines in the league, which may be the case. I think the Taylor Moton contract is skewing that because he's going to get $29 million. Do the Carolina Panthers cut him? Do they restructure? Cody, can you pull up the Joe Person comment as we bring this up? Yeah. Because right now, the Carolina Panthers, and this, I tell you, I've been doing this podcast. This is our 11th season. We have never had any fucking cap money, ever. No. It goes back to when I started this podcast, it was with Dave Gettleman as the GM. He was brought in because we were in a total mess contractually because we had paid 2 running backs, all of this stuff. And now, remind you guys, this is wild. In 2013, the salary cap was $112 million. In the last decade, it has gone up $115 million. That's wild.
That's absurd, man.
But Dave Gettleman's favorite saying was, we're shopping at the Dollar Tree. Right? It's like, we're shopping at Dollar General, Dollar Tree. We're not out at Macy's and free agency. He would say that. Then as we got a little bit better, he goes, and we're like, oh, are we going to add some? He's like, we're not at Macy's, but maybe we're at Target. You know what I'm saying? And then, but every year somebody has told us, in fact, 2 years ago, this is the continued myth of the NFL for me that I've run into, is every year next year's draft class is the best class ever. And every year next year, the Carolina Panthers are going to have free agency money. And I still have not found either of those years.
Yeah. And listen, we're not even looking at a lot of money right now. If you factor in Burns' contract, we are just barely below $10 million in spending dollars. But we can kind of glean what the Panthers are going to look to do over the course of the offseason, and much attention, and rightfully so, has been put on the offensive line. Well, Joe Person went on Kyle Bailey's show on WFNZ, and he had some interesting tidbits that are worth sharing involving our very own Bradley Bozeman.
Progressed in Indy, started hearing talk about how guard is a big priority for them. And who knows which one. I mean, there is the Damian Lewis guy has connections to Canales from Seattle, but we're not going to connect every dot between Dave Canales and the Seattle Seahawks, although they brought a bunch of Seattle assistant coaches over here, as you know. But I'm starting to kind of pick up on the fact that Bradley Bozeman might be part of this restructuring of the interior offensive line too. And that isn't as much, I don't think, about pass protection in his case, but he is very much a downhill blocker. And we saw that and saw his skill set used to a great advantage when Steve Wilkes and Ben McAdoo were just kind of running the ball and trying to win ugly at the end of the 2022 season. But when you had Thomas Brown trying to run a lot of Rams wide zone, which is Dave Canales' bailiwick in the run game, that's not so great a fit for Bradley Bozeman. So it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a couple of moving parts up front and on the interior. I mean, they're already on record talking about Ike Ekwonu staying at left tackle. Well, I think that's because that's where the emphasis now is on the interior offensive line and getting that really stout for Bryce.
All right, so there you hear it, man. And by the way, that's another player that Panther fans were not happy with last year. Bradley Bozeman did not look good. He looked like he regressed a ton from 2022 to 2023. And that was a great point, that when you look at what Ben McAdoo was doing versus what the Panthers were doing last year with Thomas Brown and Frank Reich, like it's just not really the same. And it's looking like Dave Canales is also going to be running those split zone type of concepts, which does not benefit Bozeman. Did you make of that we're trying to move on or restructure? Like, what options would we even have at center if not for Bradley Bozeman? You're muted.
I'm on mute. I think the Bozeman deal is short enough to where I don't really think it's a giant detriment to the team. I do have a question for the football X and O's people, is that Dave Canales comes from the Air Coryell. He comes from a Brian Schottenheimer tree. And what I've read about that is that they use an inside zone run. So when he says a wide zone run, I don't know exactly what the difference between those two things are. I do know he's very interested in play action. I wouldn't be, I think that if Joe Person is bringing this up, that no one is safe on this team, right? Is Taylor Moton could be released before you know it. Bozeman. I do think that the Carolina Panthers might invest in a center at some point. I've been calling for that in the draft. This was a surprising name for me. Another surprising thing right now is that we have 200 viewers and only 90 of them are on YouTube, which is wild. Where are you guys on X? Are you guys on Rumble? Are you guys on Facebook?
Twitter.
You might need to hit the refresh.
Twitter.
Yeah.
The people are killing the Twitter. Folks, it's time. CK, we need your pipes, bro. Hit them up. Repost them. Subscribe, shame them. Whatever you got to do to make these people smash that thumbs.
And CK, while you're doing it, let them know how close we are to 6,000 subscribers.
Hold on, I need to know, how close are we?
Like 230 people.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, as you see here, we have come so very close to an ever-elusive 6,000 subscribers, 6,000 legends who have joined the YouTube side of things. More of them also have started to come in on Rumble and on X and all those things. If you have not done so, do me a quick favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that retweet. Hit that love, whatever platform you're using. I want you to hit that real nice and smooth. I want you to do it so good that I can feel it here in Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one thing to say to you absolute freaks. Subscriber shame.
Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. We appreciate your viewership, no matter how you're viewing the show, no matter if you're listening to the show on Spotify or Apple, however you're intaking the C3 Panthers podcast. We appreciate that you spend your time getting your Panthers news and opinions from us. Tony Dunn, you want to move?
Pumped that so many viewers are on other platforms than YouTube. This actually is more exciting than anything to me.
Yeah. 58 of them are on Cody's and 61 are on Tony's.
Nice. We got over 100 people combined on X. Way to go, guys. Particularly as Facebook and Instagram took a hit today. The Carolina
and YouTube, from what I hear.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. The Carolina Panthers have decided to move on from Dante Jackson, it looks as well. Another semi-polarizing player for the Carolina Panthers. Another player who's been mired with injury. I wonder if some of that had to do with Hayden Hurst as well, is that not only is he got the questions, the building, and all of the rebuilding, but he's struggled with injuries throughout his career. Dante Jackson, available, unavailable more than he's available, it feels like. The toe, the foot, the whatever it may be. He's gotten a somewhat of a paycheck from the Carolina Panthers about 3 years ago. They would save $4 million, it looks like, or 5.9 if they release Dante Jackson. Is anybody, again, where's the room that says, oh, we can't let go of all the good players? Can't let go. Like, don't worry. Yeah. There are no good players on this team except for ultimately Derek Brown and the hope of Bryce Young. Other than that, I don't care about a single player on this team. That's fucked up. I mean, maybe Frankie Louvu. I want him.
Yeah, Frankie Louvu. We want
Derek Brown. So bad, Cody. This is I've never been at a point in our team's history, 11 years doing this podcast, where I don't have an affinity from anybody. Like, I don't just have a love for certain players, like even a secret sleeper.
And the fact that Dante Jackson has been here like 5 or 6 years now, and most fans are like, yeah, bye. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, Dante. Look, man, his big toe was hurting his entire time here in Carolina. It's just wild to me, man. I mean, I don't know. What type of trade value do we think Dante Jackson has? Like,
I mean, you might I think you can get a second for him.
No way.
Second? There's no way.
He's been a steady, outside of his toe, he has been a steady cornerback in this league. And he's not on it's a team-friendly contract. And I mean, I would say at worst, you're talking about a third. At worst for Dante. And that's not because I think that Dante is this great player. I just think that cornerback is a really difficult position to play in this league. And when you can get a guy who's on a team-friendly deal and also who has experience at the position, I think teams are going to be willing to do that.
I think that teams won't have to offer that. I think a team could say, we'll give you a late fourth, and the Panthers are like, let's do it.
Maybe.
I think
I don't think that there's any chance that they get more than a fourth.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I just don't. He's older. He's smaller. He's injury prone already.
He's getting roasted by everybody. That's what everybody said. Mike Evans was roasting him or whatever. Of course, Mike Evans is going to roast him. Poor Dante shouldn't have to regard no Mike Evans or whatever, but he's like 5'4" on a 6'5" guy. Waddle smoking that kid in the Dolphins game, and that's not surprising. I like Dante Jackson. I think he's got improved as a player throughout his career. I think that's one thing, is he started off as a ball hawk his rookie year. He's always had pretty good ball skills, it feels like. He had insane speed early on. The injuries have been problematic. His tackling improved a lot throughout the years, but inconsistent. And right now, I mean, I don't think anybody's pining for him. No one's pining to bring back CJ Henderson. No one's pining to bring back Xavier Woods. There's not a single player on this team that anybody is attached to other than Brian Burns, Derek Brown, and Bryce Young. Nobody else gives a shit about any single player, or Icky maybe. Some people.
Who was better, Dante Jackson or James Bradbury?
James Bradbury. Without a doubt. And James Bradbury actually went on to have even a better time when he went to the Giants than he was with us. And poor James Bradbury came from a little school like Middleton University.
It was Samford University.
Yeah. And this mug got put in as a starter from day one. Remember, we rescinded the Josh Norman contract and we said, hey, we're going to start in Daryl Worley. Good luck, bro.
Yeah. Oh, dude. What a dude. Government put us in hell. But you know what I just thought of, considering Dante Jackson? He's small enough and fast enough to be considered a slot corner. Yet he's never played that for the Panthers. And no other team is going to want to play him as an outside corner. So what, are they going to get him and put him at a slot corner role? And they've never seen him there?
I think he would be good at that. He would be good at that in some iterations of the NFL. Here's the problem with the slot corner is sometimes you got to put a corner out there. You need a Dante Jackson. You need whoever that guy, who was the guy that we got, the something Troy or whatever from the Rams, who was real good, came with a Giro, or he was our best freaking corner this past year. Something Troy, not Troy Pride, but something Troy Hill, maybe.
Troy
Hill. But the thing is we always wanted, who we wanted to see in the slot was Jeremy Chin, who at one point you ran Shaq Thompson early on, who was the first Jeremy Chin in a way. You ran him in the Buffalo nickel. That works when a team is running a lot of tight ends. But then you get these guys and they're putting in a top tier wide receiver. You get not top tier, excuse me. St. Brown.
Ross St. Brown.
He plays out of the slot. There's no way a fucking Jeremy Chin can keep up with that. No. So it's like it's kind of like, it's like sometimes you need a corner. Sometimes you need a heavier corner when it's like a Kelsey or somebody there. And you can't have a guy that is an extremist there. You need a guy with size and speed. And Dante Jackson can't. If you got to post up against a tight end, he's toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that leads to my entire point. How are the Panthers possibly going to get more than a 4th or 5th round pick? There's just no way, man. Like the only players with value.
He could be a good second corner if he could stay healthy, and the other corner is awesome. He would have been a good second corner if J.C. Horn was the guy.
Yeah.
Now that's what we really need to hope for. We need to hope that J.C. Horn finds a life.
We do, but we're also going to need another corner to mirror him, to put on the other side of him. And Dante has never been that guy, man. I'm sorry. He's never been big enough to play outside corner. I think you need to be at least 6'1", at least 210.
Especially when you're playing two high safeties and you're helping roll people over the top. It's not like you're asking Dante to run stride for stride with freaking Tyreek Hill.
I would have put him at free safety years ago.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Years ago. Let him try. He has the speed. He can cut off one entire side of the field. The man has ups. I remember that one game he jumped like 12 feet in the air and grabbed an interception. Like, he's got the athleticism to do it, but the Panthers are just not very creative in how they deploy their players.
What do we got next?
Up next now we are moving into talking about just some around the NFL stuff and possible targets for the Panthers in the wide receiver market. So we know now that other Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars is being franchise tagged with the idea that they're going to get a contract done for him at some point. So
isn't it bananas? How about this? Bananas. You wonder, somebody brought this up, is how do you think that Jags fans feel about tagging Allen and not reaching the deal by this point, while Panther fans are melting down over Brian Burns? Allen had 18 sacks last year, I think.
Yes.
So
Brian Burns has never lived up to that.
I mean, are you ready to put that in the same category? But they couldn't tag two players, right? So they tag Allen, trying to negotiate a long-term deal with him. At the very worst, they make him play under the $24 million whatever franchise tag. But that makes Calvin Ridley a free agent. A lot of people have talked about him as a potential Panther. But what does Jonathan Jones have to say about it?
Jonathan Jones went to Twitter, and he said Josh Allen's tagging makes Calvin Ridley's departure more likely. Ridley would be a top free agent wide receiver, and Atlanta would get a 3rd-round pick to close the loop on that trade. And Tony, I've been saying for a while.
Pick, does the 3rd-round pick come from the Jags or from the team he goes to? That's kind of screwed up if you sign him in free agency and you got to give. It's got to be the Jags that are giving up the 3rd.
It's the Jags, and if they had just cut him or whatever, it would have been a 2nd-round pick. or if they re-signed him, they would have to send a second round pick to Atlanta. Yeah.
So it's an official first round or fifth round.
Yeah.
Or third round, I mean.
I've been on record saying that if we're going to get a free agent wide receiver, Calvin Ridley fits us the best. He is the type of receiver that separates. He's quick enough. I've done some digging. Jaguar fans didn't necessarily love him.
No, because he started hot. He started super hot and then cooled off.
Yeah, then cooled off. Now, he did have 1,000 yards receiving last year, so that's not nothing. But the fact of the matter is they're moving on, and I think that if we're going to go out and get a wide receiver as expected, I don't know if I put that tweet or not. People are putting out that the Panthers are going to be active looking for a wide receiver in free agency. I maintain that he's the top of that list.
Here is, I think, one of the benefits maybe of signing a Calvin Ridley is because he's older by this point. I think he's like 30 or close to
30 or 31. Yeah.
And that was the reason that we went with DJ Moore, right? Is that DJ Moore was the younger player. Drafted him in the first round, 5th-year option, all of that.
Right.
That was the benefit of taking him ahead of Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley is older. He's had some issues in his past, right? Now, whether or not these issues are warranted to be concerns from the gambling, which is ironic that not only do we read the FanDuel ad, but the Carolina Panthers have officially combine their powers with FanDuel as well. Oh no, I did DraftKings tonight. But that, it's ironic that the NFL is like, we'll take all your gambling money, but we have zero tolerance for people gambling like on other sports or other teams and all of this. Now, I do understand you don't want the integrity of the game to be in question of players potentially shaving points or yards. Imagine if you bet or you took the under on Prize Picks and you had your friend bet like $500,000 and you just dropped a pass to go under on purpose. Did you see the guy that bet on the Super Bowl? He bet $1,000 that there was going to be
something underneath it though, like a clarification thing, like they do.
Like it was a community notes.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't true.
I don't know that it wasn't true, but
the guy bet $1,000 and then that there would be a streaker and then went and was the streaker.
I don't know if it was
that one, but I don't. True. Yeah, I think there was a bit of a nuance to it.
Okay, let me just believe it.
Go ahead.
I think it's brilliant. If that
go off, King.
I think that a bookie would not honor that bet if that's what you did. I'm pretty sure they would say no. We'll just give your money back. But so Calvin really does have that. And then there was some questions like, remember when he just stepped away from football for a few months with the Falcons and said he was having mental, just like had to deal with his mental health or something.
Right.
And then immediately after that, the gambling stuff came out. So I don't know if that was related to it or not. Either way is that Calvin Ridley's going to want to command a significant amount of money, but I think he's kind of in the category of what Clowney has been for the last 5 years. And that's like, hey, I'll just play for top money for 2 years. Yeah. So maybe the benefit for Calvin Ridley is you don't sign him to a long-term deal where an Ayuk you would trade for. He's 25 and he's going to want the longer deal. And the Carolina Panthers need to do something at wide receiver. The crazy irony is this: if he turns out to be a Carolina Panther and we get Curtis Samuel back, we might as well just come on.
Hey, man, stop slandering Kirko.
Oh,
give me a break. That man never had a good wide receiver or a good quarterback play the entire time he was here. Same thing with DJ Moore.
Jackson hurt all the fucking time. Anyway,
still a better player.
Okay, so Calvin Ridley could be on the board maybe for the Carolina Panthers. We want to hear your thoughts at 252-228-5098. If you think Calvin Ridley is the answer here, what do you think about the Carolina Panthers and their rebuild, cutting Hayden Hurst, franchise tagging Brian Burns? Are you happy with Dan Morgan's initial performance, or do you think he can do better? Because 50% of the internet will tell you don't know ball. And half of those people that tell me that tell the internet. Actually, they don't usually tell me. I just see them telling other people. It just drives me nuts.
Oh, they tell it to me all the time, dude.
Then they'll say shit like this. One person, and you know who I'm talking about, he'll be like, bear with me. We bring back Brian Burns. We extend Derek Brown. We get Shaq Thompson back. We get Luvu. Then we get Calvin Ridley. We draft a wide receiver at 33. We're cooking, baby. And I'm like, man, come on. What are you smoking, bro?
What world do you live in? Yeah, just, hey, man.
It's the people that tell you you're over optimistic, but then they'll come in and tell you like that they're going to sell you fucking shitty flowers. I mean, I'm sorry. It's like we need to just go ahead and be prepared for the Carolina Panthers to just be increment. All I want next year is to believe more in Bryce next year than I did this year.
Right.
That's it. Very simple.
Same.
Let's take some cat calls, bro.
Let's do it. Call in. Leave a message at 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Boys having a good Tuesday. I'm sure there's going to.
Here we go.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys having a good Tuesday. I'm sure there's going to be a ton to discuss.
The volume
on
good,
the Tuesday
folks.
Show tonight. Looking forward to tuning in. I just want to give my thoughts on everything that's happened so far. So Dan Morgan, I mean, he's done everything that I've liked to see so far. The non-exclusive tag on Brian Burns gives us the opportunity to trade him for a hefty price. And Dan Morgan wasn't willing to give him that money. And that's a great sign from a GM is that, hey, we're just not willing to overpay players, no matter if you're a good player, considered one of the best, or a bad player. Like, for example, Scott Fitter paying Miles Sanders and Hayden Hurst a total of $50 million last offseason. Now one of them is cut. I mean, you see these moves being made. Dan Morgan's not playing around. A lot of these contracts are going to be shedded out of here. And I just want to bring something up. This is something no one talks about with the Brian Burns situation. Everyone wants to bring up the fact that, oh, well, his sack numbers aren't good because he's not getting pass rushing opportunities. The Panthers didn't lead in any games in the fourth quarter. Guess what? If the offense doesn't get better, that's not going to happen. And that's not going to, you're going to continue to see that. That's why I don't think that Burns' best place is utilized here, because they have to prioritize offense this offseason, or Burns is just not going to get those opportunities. So it's kind of a two-way thing. Now, in terms of the non-exclusive tag, a team doesn't have to necessarily give us 2 first-round picks for him. The thing about it is, as Joe Person said, if he's in talks with another team and they contact us saying, yeah, we're willing to pay Brian Burns and we don't want to match that offer. And that's the other thing. Most of the offers Brian Burns is going to get are probably not going to be what the Panthers are willing to pay him, which is a good sign, because the Panthers can then say, okay, well, we want your first round pick this year, and we'll just take like a second next year or a third next year. And that team says, okay, deal. We're not going to get the 2 first round picks from that Rams package. That's out the window. So don't expect that at all. All you got to expect is that we are going to get some compensation for him. We just don't know what it is. So I think that's great. You can get a first-round pick, and I'm telling you guys, there are edge rushers in free agency in the draft that you can develop or sign, and they can produce like Brian Burns. And the other reason I'm with this is he was going to count against the cap anyways, and it's better to just improve the offense so those young edge rushers are going to get more opportunities naturally. That's the other thing no one's talking about, is how we need to improve the offense. I'll be back for a quick part 2 because I still got a lot to say.
Appreciate you, Anthony. Great call. So one, a lot to cover there, but I do agree with the notion that, you know, if you're going to trade Brian Burns, it's better to get something for him in return. Now, I'm not going to lie, CK, I don't know all the true intricate details of the non-exclusive franchise tag.
Right.
I've been hearing that we get 2 first-round picks.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. And then I've also heard them saying that they could like negotiate this. Dude, I'm of the mindset that as long as we're able to get something for him, that's a victory for Carolina. It's just who would be willing to cough that up.
Right.
I do think that there is one team, and I don't know if they're, one piece away, like I said about other teams looking for Brian Burns earlier, but I do think they have the firepower to make that trade. And I do believe that Kevin's going to call in tonight and bring that up as what team that might be. So there are some options, but I agree. And I also agree that Dan Morgan, to this point, has done a good job, but we're not going to be able to judge him until after this free agent period is over. That's when they're going to be able to start to look at how they're choosing to build this roster.
Well, I don't even think it's, again, I think that the Dan Morgan, as much as I wasn't a fan of the hire, I wasn't a proponent of having him. I really don't even think you can give this year a fair shake for whether or not he's doing a good job as a GM, because he would fight an uphill battle with every single potential free agent coming here because we aren't a good team. We're in a rebuild phase. And so he's not going to land good free agents. If he does, then go ahead and judge him and give him all the praise in the world because the dude pulled a miracle out of a hat. Right. But at the end of the day, like you've got to give him the same treatment you gave Bryce last year and give him benefit of the doubt, because until we're a contending team, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do in free agency that's going to make you say, "No, man, Dan Morgan's the dude."
I think honestly, the less you do in free agency, or the less you do reactionary wise, is probably an indication of more success. And really, what you can try to do is slowly build, the wall in front of Bryce.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think the sexy moves are really going to pan out in the long term. And so what I would try to do is try to add some value players for that offensive line, maybe accumulate some draft picks, and hopefully you hit in the draft. But it's like, yeah, you can go out and sign big names or pay big money. To me, I think that's the unwise thing to do.
Yeah,
I think we are preparing for the next year. I think we're going to try to build a solid draft this year. I think we're going to be active in free agency next year, and then hopefully hit on a real good draft, potentially with a skill player high up in there, and see if we can cook with Bryce in his third year. To me, all of this is about the long term, and can Canales show us that we can have a future with Bryce Young, and not just us, but show the team that they can believe in him.
Yeah. And this is the point that I've been saying, Tony, is that if this isn't going to be a team that's looking to contend next year, that's fine. I don't think any of us reasonably expect that. But what I do think that we can expect and should expect is for them to try and build up this offense. This offense has been so bad for 5-6 years now. It's been just unwatchable. There's no downfield attack. There's no consistency in how we run the ball or pass protect. It's just been abysmal, man.
I don't think you do that for free agency, though.
Well, but here's the deal. You're going to have to do something, because you just said yourself, right? If you're going to go all in and put some players on this team, you might not want to do the sexy picks, but a Calvin Ridley, a Tyler Boyd, that would go a long way. And we also have to be honest that this draft coming up, they're talking about it as one of the best wide receiver drafts in a long time. And I know you hate those types of words, Tony. Oh, generational.
Every year.
Right.
Every
but
year.
If you look at the
next
combine,
year is going to be better for whatever.
But if you look at the combine, and if you look at the sheer number of wide receiver prospects that are coming out this year, that are tall, that are fast, that have the hands that you want, there's a numerous amount of them. So through the draft and free agency, I want to see some firepower added to the offense for Bryce Young, so that way we can properly evaluate him in 2024. Because I'm here to tell you, if Bryce has another bad year that was similar to what he had last year, and that's another early first-round pick, they're looking to move on in 2025. That's how important this year is.
I don't disagree. I said that earlier. I think that This year is important, and the moves that this administration has made up to this point tells me they are again. I think Dave Canales likes Bryce Young. I think he speaks glowing of him, but he's also very honest in a lot of the interviews he's given. Outside of the normal press conference, he went on a couple of interviews with some guys, and he wasn't mincing words. He was talking about Bryce trying to play hero ball and doing too much when he should be doing this or doing that. And so I think that these guys are prepared to. I don't think that they're holding the same level of commitment to Bryce that the former. Well, if we had anybody held over from the former coaching staff, I think we would have been in trouble.
I disagree. I think that Bryce Young at the minimum gets through next year. Not this season coming up. I think he gets a third full year, because what have we heard? For the first time ever, we've heard that next year's quarterback draft is not good. That's why you got to get all these players while the getting is good, right? So, I mean, look, I think the Carolina Panthers will invest 3 years. I don't think, but I understand what you're saying. How are we ever going to, is it going to be another year of just saying, well, Bryce didn't have anything. Maybe it's a guy like Mike Williams. Think about that. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's take another call. Lots of calls tonight.
This is your president speaking. There will be no C. Higgins. There will be no Mike Evans. The best
Mike
we can
Evans.
do is Brandon Ayuk, former 49ers. Nah, I'm playing. It's Lou from fucking Fort Myers, right?
What up, Lou?
Damn, I thought that was Barack.
I know.
Hey, dog. So I know Russell Wilson left, and this is going to be a crazy-ass take, bro. But a crazy-ass take needs to be fucking said, bruh. What if we have Russ as a backup, or maybe even quarterback coach? Because Russ wasn't a bad coach, right? He also worked with Dave, Dave Canoli, my boy Canales, right? So, bro, I'm saying if we could get Russ to coach up Bryce, bro, you know how awesome that'd be? I ain't got really nothing to say, but it's just I don't want to start the trend that Russell did, but Panthers Nation, keep pounding. You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, it's a good Tuesday. It's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Every motherfucking Tuesday, I get to hear y'all voice, man, and I'm glad to hear it. I got my shirt, I got my mug, and I can't wait to wear it out this weekend when I go out to the bar, bro. I have to let them know, like, come on, bro. You can't be a Panthers fan and you don't know C3. Come on, bro. You just watch the game. You ain't a fan. A fan, bro. Real fan is on the podcast C3, bro. Shout out C3. Shout out Panthers Pickle. Shout out D. Shout out, bro. Shout out JJ. Shout out Anthony. Shout out I already say Panther Pickle. Shout out from D for Stanford. Your call almost had me
crying.
Tearing up, bro.
I know.
Tearing up, man. We with you, brother. We with you. You fam, bro. Just know anytime you in Florida, you invited to the barbecue. Just know that.
Hey.
Everybody invited to the barbecue. You know what I'm saying? G-Baby invited, but he won't show up. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody invited to the barbecue. I hope everybody have a good day, and I can bring some motherfucking positivity. With that being said, love all y'all, bro. Have a good day. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, and I'm going to tune in later.
You know what?
Hey, bro, Lou has been one of the best, man. Ever since he started calling in.
Great caller.
Bro, we have the best fans, man, calling in, making us feel some type of way. Bro, shout out to the boys, yo.
You know what? He's coming with a double banger.
Yeah, bro. So I'm calling with a double banger. Double banger. Y'all probably already got the news, but right now it's 12:18. And I'm scrolling through Instagram like every person does on their phone, on their break, right?
Surprised it was working at 12:18.
Panthers place non-exclusive franchise tag on Brian Burns, right?
Yes, sir.
My question is, Is the non-exclusive one, is that the one where if he wants to get, like, if we trade him, we'll get that first-round pick?
Mm-hmm.
2.
Or is that the exclusive one? Either way, what the blankety bleep? I'm gonna keep it PG-13, but what the blankety bleep? There should have been. If I'm correct or incorrect, right? There should have been no way in the world he got franchise tag. Because I'm sorry, I'd rather have Chase Young than Brian Burns. Because everybody says all that stuff about Chase Young, but when he came out in the Super Bowl, he came out to play. Lined up with Nick Bosa or not, he came out to play in the Super Bowl. All right.
He's like Bugs Bunny.
I want to see. Hold on, I'm about to look this shit up because I'm on the Panthers page right now. I want to see how much they signed him for.
All right, we got you, Lou. We got you. Thanks for the support, Lou. What it comes down to is right now the details of the non-exclusive franchise tag are like this. It's very similar to a franchise tag. In fact, it turns into a regular franchise tag on March 13th when the league year starts. But until that time, other teams, Brian Burns is allowed to negotiate with other teams. If another team makes him an offer, now it doesn't have to be more than that 24. It could be any offer. It could be 5 years. It could be 2 years. It could be whatever. And the Carolina Panthers then have an option of matching that. If the Carolina Panthers decide to not match that, then part of the thing that the team that is making the offer sheet will have to do is offer 2 first-round picks, one this year and one next year. Now, really, no team is going to do this. Imagine if they took the risk. What if they said this? What if they said, we'll give you $20 million for 2 years, and Brian Burns like, fuck it, I hate the Carolina Panthers, I'm out of here. And the Panthers like, fine, we're not matching it. That team will be like, oh shit, no, we didn't want to give up 2 first-round picks. So what this is going to be a starting point for other teams to show interest in Brian Burns. And then now the Carolina Panthers, when the regular tag hits on March 13th, will be able to negotiate with those teams, and the trade value will go down. It could be 1 first, it could be a 2nd and a 5th, it can be anything to that effect. But right now, Brian Burns costing $24 million against the salary cap, which is not incredible given the fact that people say he wants a deal upwards of $30 million a year.
Right.
But then you have to remember, if you sign a long-term deal, there are ways to spread the money out to where you don't pay it all now. But the Carolina Panthers want money later. It's not about saving right now. It's about, and I think we got to the bottom of that with the Hayden Hurst contract. Is that while we're eating money this year, it's about next year. Let's take another call, guys.
Well, hang on real quick. I wanted to get your opinion on what our boys said about Russell Wilson. And would we be willing to bring in Russell Wilson due to his prior history with Dave Canales?
Fuck no. I hate Russell Wilson. I've hated Russell Wilson for so long because of going back to state. NC State, I'm an ECU Pirates fan. The NC State fans think they're fucking something special. Russell Wilson was good there. Then he left and went to Washington. Didn't win the Heisman, but won from some fucking Player of the Year award or some shit like that. But I used to hate Russell Wilson because of 2 things. One is that he was a quarterback at his best time when he was with Seattle, and somehow the Carolina Panthers and Seattle played each other like
every year,
5 times in 3 years. It felt like once in the play, it was, and these games were knocked down, brutal. They were awesome games, but they would be like 15-12, 12-11. And I fucking hate, one of the things that I hate is that my favorite Panthers defense was the 2013 Panthers defense. And they were the number 1 defense in the league for like 11 weeks. And then the Legion of Boom pulled ahead. So we finished 2nd in the league that year to Seattle. So I hate Seattle on that note. But then I used to fucking hate Russell Wilson's perfectness. Like it's like he always had this like air of like, he was just such a teetoddler.
Happy
I'm
go
not
lucky.
going to get laid. I'm not going to get laid till I get married. I'm going to do all this. And then when he got traded, he was so villainized for so many things. I almost started feeling bad for him. So for a moment, I was, yeah, well, for a moment, I was getting sucked into like, oh, poor Russell. Fuck Russell. And no, I don't want him on the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't want him either. I think he has that type of attitude where it's like, yeah, guys, we'll get him next play. Don't worry. Heads up. Meanwhile, he's the one fucking throwing pick sixes and scrambling into sacks and shit like that. Yeah, I'll pass on Russell Wilson, man. We're trying to get younger, not trying to sink all this money into these older players.
I mean, and we still have Andy Dalton. Like, it's not Andy Dalton's here as well. So
yeah,
poor Andy Dalton. He's been out of the line of fire for a minute.
Yeah,
good for him. All right, Anthony. Was Anthony the last caller?
No, that was Lou.
Lou. Let me see.
Anthony did say he was coming back for a second call. So
yeah, he said.
Have we heard Anthony already?
Yeah, we had one.
Okay, here is your second one, Anthony. He's out there listening.
I'm back. So yeah, everything I just talked about with Brian Burns, those are my thoughts on that. Dan Morgan did the right thing. Okay, obviously he was not stupid enough to just let him walk for nothing. Okay, that's ridiculous. And we're not in a position where we have so many good players on our roster like the Chiefs, where you got to decide between Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed to use the franchise tag on one of them. But here's where this next part comes in, and this is the reality fans have to accept. And I've been getting really upset with all this. And you guys know my stance on the team. I told you guys this is a rebuild. Dan Morgan is going to shed contracts, and Dave Canales said he has no emotional connection to these players. That's why Hayden Hurst was cut. I know he signed a long-term deal, but we're restarting from scratch. Miles Sanders, even if he has a lot of guaranteed money, so he's probably going to be on this roster next year, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be playing. And this is the other thing. If he's not going to be playing a lot, they may have to just consider cutting him and moving on and drafting another running back. Or maybe Miles Sanders gets better with a new system in that.
Yeah.
But then again, Miles Sanders isn't an I formation running back like Chuba Hubbard is. So we'll see what happens there. Dante Jackson, even G-Baby said it's the best. He was one of his favorite players from the time he got here. But it is time to move on, guys. I know everyone's worried about all these holes we're gonna have on this roster. Well, dude, we just came off a 2-win season. Like, this rebuild is going to take time, and fans have to accept that. It's better to have a vision than to be living in this la-la land. Josh Klein tweeted it out today. Dan Morgan is cleaning up the mess from all David Tepper's wanted to do since 2020. Win now, win now, win now, with not enough talent to actually win now. Where does that leave you? That leaves you with 5 wins, dumb coaching. That's what we've had. It is time to build something from the ground up that's organic from the ground. And this is the process I'm liking from Dan Morgan. I know I said originally I didn't want him as my general manager. I'm still going to continue to be neutral on the situation just because of these moves. I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm a huge Dan Morgan fan now. He really hasn't done anything. He's just done the obvious for what we've been calling for this organization to do for the past 3 years. So all these moves are actually the right thing, and we're moving in the right direction. I like to see this. I would expect more guys to get cut down the line. And I'm pretty sure now teams can agree to compensation for trade. Guys, I'm telling you, this whole week and next week is going to be hectic. I guarantee Brian Burns is going to be traded in the next 2 weeks. So we have a lot to look out for. Those are my thoughts. Recoup some picks. Last thing I got to say, try to get Calvin Ridley if you can. I know Mike K said we're going to be prioritizing wide receiver, tight end, and center.
One end, I would be cautious, a little cautious of like congratulating Dan Morgan.
Yeah.
You know, is that I used to have a professor when I was in graduate school, and anytime you got a compliment from him, you cherished it like a little precious child or a delicate flower, because he didn't give out compliments often, right, unnecessarily. And he was kind of the attitude is, I'm not going to compliment you for doing what you're supposed to.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh, I worked so hard on this paper. This is like, well, you're supposed to fucking do that. Like, so I'm not going to clap about what you're supposed to do. So look, but I do think this is, I'm glad that Dan Morgan's getting a positive reception. As we talk about Brian Burns and he says he's going to get traded. How about this? What if a team you could get, say a team said, we'll give you a third, 2/3, or a second and a third this year, or we'll give you a third this year or fourth this year and a future first. Would you take a future first?
Yes.
For Brian Burns.
Yeah. At this point, you have to get something, man. And it just means
that's where
next
it is.
Year,
future first.
Yeah, but next year it just means our draft is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Whereas this year's first round is really fucking boring unless we decide to move up.
I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, I understand
It'd be
that.
the worst draft party of all time.
And by the way, we would be having we would have a first round pick this year if we would have sent Brian Burns to the Rams.
And we would have had one next year.
No, I think we would have had the next one last year.
Okay, you're right.
But to be fair, we would have traded that away for Bryce Young. And we
What's
would
up,
probably still have
G-Baby?
DJ Moore.
G-Baby, I feel like this is me. The future first just came to me in a vision. And it's...
Oh, you're breaking up.
G-Baby, it's like a vision that I had with Dynasty Football. Froze up, didn't I? G-Baby will trade away his entire future.
Okay, now you sound good. Yeah,
Okay.
Your volume got unmatched with your voice there for a second.
Whoop, whoop. All right. G-Baby, glad to have you in here. Let's
Shout
go.
out G-Baby. Shout out Muscles Marinara. Shout out Kristen Ledane. Shout out Charlotte Sports One. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us on a Tuesday, man.
Look, the Italian mafia right there. Let's go to it.
By the way, just so you guys are aware, we have on X, we have Cody Lax page, 94 viewers. The C3 page, 86 viewers, and 99 on YouTube. So we are spread out evenly. Across the board.
I'm really impressed by these X numbers.
I am too, man.
We're almost at 300 viewers right now. We love y'all's participation in the process. As my dad would say, we're here every Tuesday night live at 9 p.m. We've been doing this for every Tuesday, or at least a once-a-week show for 10 full years, going into our 11th season. Cody has also built an army of C3 fans, or not just fans of us, just a crew of people who talk on Fridays. It's called the Friday Free for All, where you can be the podcast host, where you can jump in and lead the discussion. Cody has made a wild royal rumble of Panther fans out there. But we got more content coming to you guys. Subscribe if you haven't on YouTube. If you're just finding us on Twitter, make sure you follow, or X, follow. You can do us a real super solid right now by just hitting repost, sharing the link. That's really what we ask for, right? Is more than anything is, while donations are welcomed at times, you could be a C3 super fan. There's a lot of people in the YouTube chat that are doing that. The best thing you can do is continue to help grow the discussion. We're not football experts, but we are expert football fans. And we have been talking Carolina Panthers for over 10 years on the intranet. You want to go see what G. Cavassier has to say?
I'm trying to see what G's talking about.
He might be our longest time caller, dude.
Probably.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing this
What up, G?
Yeah. Hey, man, I know y'all seen the news, man. Brian Burns got franchise tag.
Yes, sir.
But it's like a different franchise tag. And the Panthers don't agree with it. They get 2 first-rounders. I really don't understand that. But I also seen that they're going to cut or release Hayden Hurst, man. And my thing is, how in the hell are you going to cut or release Hayden Hurst and Ian Thomas is still on the damn team? Ian Thomas ain't done shit in damn years, man.
I love this.
Dante Jackson, see what's up with that, because since we franchise tagged Brian Burns, I looked on Facebook today, our damn salary cap went down to like 13-something million. So we need to build it back up. I mean, 13 million sounds like a lot of money, but NFL, that ain't
No, it's
shit,
nothing
man.
these
So
days.
What you guys think of that? Because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Mm.
And another thing, wishful thinking here, y'all seen that Russell Wilson getting let go by the Broncos. I would love Russell Wilson to play for the damn Panthers. I trust him over Andy. I trust Russell Wilson over Andy Dalton. There's nothing wrong with Andy Dalton, but Russell Wilson, and his relationship with our head coach, I can see him being a damn backup. So if Bryce fucks up, put Russell Wilson in there, man. Give me your thoughts on that, y'all. Keep pounding.
He brings up an interesting comment where is something we've been talking about, though, is the Carolina Panthers salary cap space. And look, it's $13 million is untenable. Right? There is no way you can't even barely pay your rookies that you draft with that type of money.
Yeah, luckily we don't have a first round draft pick, so that's going to take away a little bit of that chunk that you'd be worrying about with rookies. But yeah, 100%. I mean,
we have so many holes, CK. We have so many things. We don't have any corners. We don't have any wide receivers. There's going to have to be something drastic to be done, right?
Yeah.
Is that number one is like Anthony says, is that he expects Brian Burns to be traded. That's going to be modus. What do they call it? Modus operandi 1 or whatever.
Right.
And you know what? The sad part about that is that the Panthers might get less than you hope for.
I think they're likely to get less than you hope for.
Right. Is like we might get a future first, like I was just saying, is that you might just at this point be trying to jettison that for anything.
If you're a Panther fan, you're expecting that to happen. Oh yeah, of course.
And then they're going to the meltdown about elite players walking for nothing. Which I think would be fair is that this is the point, is that you got to shit or get off the pot, and the Panthers didn't do either last year.
When we were offered or 2 first round draft picks on top of that,
or when we had money last year, last year.
Sure, but I think that it's always going to boil down to what could have been, right? We could have had 2 first round draft picks for Brian Burns, and anything less than that is going to be incredibly painful as Panthers fans, because we could have had more. And I think there's almost going to be a victim mentality to the Panthers nation, because it just feels like things don't go our way. Even when things should go our way, they're somehow not. We got the worst versions of Baker Mayfield. We got the worst versions of Frank Reich. We got the worst versions of Sam Darnold and Miles Sanders and Hayden Hurst. I mean, we've gotten the worst versions of every single big name player we have gotten at this point, other than maybe Adam Thielen. And that's arguable if you think that he's better than he was, in his younger, when he was considered one of the best in the league. I think Panthers fans feel as though they're victims, and it's rightfully so, because when you look at it, it almost feels like a curse at this point in time. We trade away DJ Moore. He has a great year in Chicago, a better year than he ever had here. We trade away CMC. He starts to do record things in San Francisco. It's Baker Mayfield leaves the Panthers and he goes on to be one of a Pro Bowl quarterback in the league the following year. I mean, everything has gone against us, and if we don't get 2 first round draft picks or a first round at all for Brian Burns, we're just going to feel that continuing to pile up on us.
Here's what we're looking at is where did Hayden Hurst go on this list? Is if they would have just cut Hayden Hurst this year, like the pre-June 1st, they would only save $52,000 against the cut. So they accelerate some of that. They save $2 million against the cut here. Look, this is the number, folks. These are the 2 numbers or 3 numbers. You're going to make Dante Jackson a post-June 1st cut, save $10 million. You're going to make, you're also going to make Taylor Moton. You're going to have to restructure. I think you're going to restructure or hope to restructure Taylor Moton. But to be honest, you might even just take the fucking dead money on that, because is he really going to want to restructure? Are you going to want to enter? Basically, a restructure means an extension in a way. It's like a small extension.
If we were to restructure Moton, we could end up saving, I believe I heard, around $8 million.
I don't think, but then you're still having to pay that at some point. And the idea of
rebuilding older player.
Rebuilding. I don't think you get rid of him. You cannot do that, especially in an offense where he's been the only potential, even slight bright star on this team on the offensive line last year. You can't get rid of him. That would be a detriment to your rookie former rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. So I don't think you can get rid of him. I think you've got to just eat that this year. I don't think that there's anything that we can do about that, unfortunately.
What we need to figure out is if a June 1st cut, what it does, if it helps your league year this year, if you've gotten under the franchise tag at the right time, right? Because what the way the rules work is there's a certain date where you have to be under the franchise tag. So you could be, not the franchise tag, under the salary cap, excuse me.
Right.
So you could be we could be way over the salary cap. There's a lot of teams on the list right now that are now, but by the time they cut to 53 or 75, whatever the right number is, they have to meet it. I think it's the 53. So you could see this. This would be wild. Could Taylor Moton be a post June 1st cut? Could Austin Corbett be one? Yeah. Yes. I think Corbett, these guys are all fit.
Yes.
Xavier Woods could be this. And what I'm talking about is this. This is all stockpiling money for next year, because what you're going to do is you're going to miss out on free agency this year. What if the Carolina Panthers just aren't very active in free agency this year? That'd probably be the best fucking thing they could do.
Cutting Moton this year does not help us very much next year either. He's due a tremendous amount of money.
$17 million cap savings. If we cut him now, we've got $12 million in dead money, but that's $17 million you could use to at least field a.
So are we putting Brady Christensen at right? What are we doing if you get rid of Moton?
Perfect.
I mean, is it perfect? Because then we have a question at left guard. And what we know about the Bryce Young being a shorter quarterback is you have to have a strong interior. And hate it or love it, Christensen was one of the better guards that we've had in a while when he was playing left guard a year and a half ago.
But we've heard, CK, a lot of not rumors, but discussion by Joe Person and things, or other, maybe Mike Kay as well from the Charlotte Observer. By the way, I encourage everybody to subscribe to the Athletic and the Charlotte Observer. I'm a subscriber to both. These guys cover the team not like we do. We do it as fans. They do it as journalists, but they're the guys that are close to the team. They're the writers that are close to the heartbeat of the team. What I heard, though, a couple of these, I cannot remember if it was Person or if it was Mike Kay, but they're interested in guards in free agency.
Sure.
They're interested in getting bigger in the middle. And Brady Christensen has been good at left guard for us, despite a lot of people telling us that he sucks. There's a lot of people out there that said he's off.
There's a lot of flip-floppers on that, by the way.
Right. But he's not a hog molly. Right. He's not a giant man in the middle. He's more like a finesse player, I feel like, in some cases. So here is the thing is, though, you've got Austin Corbett coming off of 2 fucking consecutive years of major knee injuries. He's got to go. He's gone. If you're cutting Hayden Hurst and you're not saving that much, you're cutting Austin Corbett. And I don't think that Moton is completely off the table.
You have to have
restructure is ideal, but
I'm just stating.
Imagine that is cutting all your linemen, but me saying we need to try to make Bryce look better next year.
Yeah, it's like
that's what I'm saying is you can't the Moton situation again. I know that you say we saved $17 million this year. Sure, we can save $17 million this year. We're going to have to spend that in free agency on a guard then at that point in time, or a right tackle. And so we're back at the question marks. Whereas the question, like when you have Moton, there's much less of a question mark when it comes to the right tackle position. Having that shored up, I think, is valuable. Now, the other part of this is it doesn't really do much for you as far as next year either, because he's got a lot of guaranteed money next year too. And so even the idea of trying to do this for future savings, it's really not even giving you that much of a savings.
No, you would have to pay all the $12 million this year, CK. We would save $29 million total, and we'd just be out of it next year, I think.
No, we would have dead money. We had dead money for multiple years for Teddy Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're right about that. How about this, though? Think about this. What would, if we just look at these numbers right here, according to, I'm gonna put it back. Oh, put it back here. I got it. If we're talking about this, is that if it's untenable to cut Taylor Moton, even though if you did a post according to Over the Cap, you would save $17.5 million. Yes, you would have to pay a shit ton of dead money, but you still would have $17 million to operate with that you didn't have. How about this? And I'm going to kind of call person on this. What is the incentive in cutting Bradley Bozeman at all? Look,
he's not a scheme fit.
I don't care. Look, you save $0. You might as no. You look. You save $2 million in a post June 1st.
Is he talking about a cut or a trade? Because I think that it could be. I could see a trade potentially,
okay.
But
I'll talk about that. But you still have to eat all the fucking money.
Yeah,
in the trade.
Well, not necessarily.
This is crazy. How are they going to get out of this?
Compensation at the very least.
See you later, Austin Corbett. See you later, Xavier Woods.
No, I don't think so.
See you
I
later.
think they're
Yes,
gonna go.
Austin
No,
Corbett.
they're not. Their idea of freeing up money is getting rid of Hurst, getting rid of Dante,
right,
and hopefully
does it do enough?
Getting rid of Brian Burns, and that's going to be what their goal is. But
what if a team doesn't want to deal with Brian Burns financially?
That's fine. But we have no better options right now at right tackle and right guard. Do we have to either spend free agent allocations or do we have to draft one?
And you're back
probably earlier than most fans want. Right now,
you would you'd probably pay more for a guard than you would need to because we're a bad team. We're not going to be getting that discount for being a good team that people are going to try to win a Super Bowl.
So we got to restructure.
We're going to have to run back. They're going to restructure Moten, and I'll bet you anything that happens. They're going to restructure Moten, and they're going to run it back and try and, I think, do this O-line, maybe with the exception of Bozeman, try and redo this O-line the same way they were trying to do it last year. Icky at left tackle, Christensen at left guard, Bozeman at center, Corbett right guard, Moten right tackle. I don't know how you can meaningfully upgrade one or two positions on that line without spending a bunch of money to do so.
Yeah.
We need your thoughts. 315 people watching the podcast tonight. Great numbers tonight. And you know what a great number is? 252-228-5098. You can get your voice heard. Look, there's only 3 calls ahead of you right now, and they're all short. If you call now, you can tell us, how do the Carolina Panthers deal with this salary cap problem that they're facing now? Do they restructure Taylor Moten? Are they able to trade Brian Burns in a reasonable way that another team would take on the $24 million? Think about that. The other team at the minimum would have to take on the $24 million or be ready to extend them. Will the Carolina Panthers have to cut Austin Corbett, which I think is a must? See you later, Xavier Woods. And Bradley Bozeman, I disagree with Joe Person, but maybe agree with CK that it was a trade that would have to happen, not a cut. But the Carolina Panthers right now operating with $13 million. That's not, you can't even sign your fucking rookies with that, guys.
Scary, dude.
How are you going to get Calvin Ridley with that? How are you going to get anybody with that?
I hear you. I wanted to read this before we go to our next call. This is from Mike K. He said, the Panthers are in an interesting spot with their potential cap casualties because most signings have bonuses due on the 3rd day of the new league year, March 13th at 4 p.m. They can negotiate with free agents on March 11th at noon, so they have a few days to find replacements for potential departures. Keep that in mind when the why aren't they doing anything vibe sets in over the next few days. The downside of waiting for the 16th is cap space with Burns on the tag, and also kind of putting the potential cut player behind the initial market launch, which might be smart to do to cut the player, which would be doing right by them, especially with the Burns situation lingering. So yeah, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You want to cut them so they can have time to find a new home.
Right. We always hear that. We're getting scraps, bro. The Carolina Panthers, when free agency breaks out on the 13th, don't expect our name to be called unless we're sending players away.
That's what I think, Ant was talking about, is be expecting to start to see some of these players that people have wanted to hold on to start to move to other teams. Because we're going to be doing, I have a feeling that this is going to be a year where you're starting to see the Jaguars style of rebuilding. The Miami Dolphins, when they were somewhat in a rebuild, they were sending people away. The Jets, the Texans, sending people away. Right now, we're in that position, so it's going to be I think it's almost likely we're going to start to see some people that nobody wants to see go leave this team.
Right now, it's time to, and you guys are going to hate this, folks. The Panther fans are going to hate this. But if we take Brian Burns off the table, what we're talking about in this is trying to trade Dante Jackson, trying to trade Von Bell, Adam Thielen for scraps. Like, hey, we'll take fourth, we'll take fifth round picks, we'll take all of that. Because what we're going to do is we're going to get to the draft and we're going to couple fourth and fifth round picks together to try to get 1/3 or something like that. The Carolina Panthers are about to be on a fire sale. And the sad part about this, guys, is we've been calling for that fire sale for several years.
Yeah.
And then we get we get this stupid idea. And even with, and look, have your opinion. I love every opinion among a Panther fan. We're just riding in the car. We're riding to the draft now is what we're doing.
We don't tell anyone how to be a fan.
Totally. We always get this crazy allure that the NFC South is going to be sorry. So it's like, oh, but come on. The NFC South is going to be weak. You can make fuck it. I don't care if every team, this is what we thought last year too. And this is why I got hook, line, and sinker for Frank Reich and this superstar cast that was the worst fucking cast. Who would have thought it could have been worse than Matt Rule? Well, it was. Right? But everybody's like, oh, the NFC South's weak. I'm sitting here going, oh, shit. We can sweep the Saints, maybe. We can split. We can do all this. Oh, God. Man, I bought into that shit right away. We have to stop thinking that way. We got to say this. The NFC South might suck. But who cares about winning a sucky division? We need to build a good team. So when we get to the fucking playoffs, we can fucking make something out of it. So look, fire sale is happening, folks. And what do you think? And I'll ask the callers this. We'll take my bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso's call. What do you think Sheena Quick, who's fired off at first kind of rubbed some Panther fans, and I think some people thought I was talking about her, because she was one of the people that said no ball. He
did kind of say one of the things that
he did say the thing that I hate, which is you don't know any ball.
Y'all don't know ball if y'all think she said something. I forgot. She definitely pissed off some people.
I do. We'll give her not grace on that because I hate that comment. You don't know ball. Because it turns out that look, Scott Fitter don't know how to be a GM. Fucking David Tepper don't know how to be an owner.
Yeah, the people that are paid to know ball don't know fucking ball.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to give her grace on that because a lot of people call her would-be reporter, say that, I mean, they come at her in her own way. So look, let her defend her chops. And you know what? Kudos to Sheena Quick out of anybody who is grinded from I don't want to dismiss how she was 8 years ago, right? But she built a grassroots.
She is easily. I'm talking far and away. Even over OGs like Joe Person and Dave Newton. She is the most famous Panthers beat reporter.
Except for one.
Okay. Well, she goes on Pat McAfee too all the time.
Yeah, they love her. Yeah, but Jonathan Jones used to be, and now he's with CBS, and he's basically he's a national reporter now.
Right.
But I want to give Sheena Quick a lot of credit for her ground game, man. She did it as an independent reporter and came up. Now she hasn't latched on to any news organ, and she has built her own brand. So I really have a lot of respect for her game. So I'm not trying to knock that. When she said that, though, I think it was either that tweet or the next one sent some people. She said, I'm not going to say the thing that would really put y'all on tilt. That's a poker term for throwing you off. But she says, you want to talk about trades. Who was she talking about, Cody?
It had to be Derek Brown, right? Like, what other player would command any other type of value like that? Either that or someone on a rookie contract.
JC
Horn was a lot of
JC Horn or Ike Ekwonu. But there's no way Ike's fetching anything.
Or JC Horn is either.
Yeah, he's been too hurt. That's what I'm saying. It has to be Derek Brown, Tony. Who else could it
Is that the
reasonably
block?
be?
Is she onto something? Call in at 252-228-5098. Look, there's only 4 calls ahead of you. You can get your voice heard right now, guys. Get in there. Smash the thumbs up button, repost, man. I'm really pumped about these numbers tonight. Thank you guys for supporting the show.
Yo, with White Chocolate Espresso. What's happening? Sorry, guys. I'm not going to be able to catch it live stream tonight. I'm going to go see Dune Part 2.
Ooh,
I heard it's amazing.
I have to.
I might catch the end of the show towards the end. But I'm going to give me my thoughts and stuff. As far as a trade partner with Brian Burns, I think the Cardinals are an excellent choice. They got so many draft picks. So do the Bears. I wonder how they got those picks. So yeah, I think the Cardinals would be a great choice for a trade partner. I don't understand Hayden Hurst being cut. It don't save really all that money. I heard Duncan say something about a pay cut he didn't want to take. Maybe that's it. Free agency receivers wise, I kind of figured it out. I said it from the beginning. We're not getting top free agent wide receivers. They're not coming here. Calvin really is probably the best choice still. Just waiting for free agency now. Really. I heard Dante's getting cut too. So, look at all these players getting cut, and you'll probably figure out who we're going to target in the draft. Really. But those are my thoughts. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
And shout out to the boy Kev. He even sent me some viewing material for his cat call. And this is the point that I did want to make earlier, is that I think if anyone has the firepower, the ammunition to make a trade for Brian Burns and give up 2 first-round picks, it might be the Arizona Cardinals.
What's that going to help them with?
Well, so they're going to draft Marvin Harrison at number 3 or 4, wherever they're picking.
Okay.
Yeah, they're picking 4, so they're going to draft Marvin Harrison.
Texans. They want to pull a Texans. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to use their where they're going to give us number 27. Dude, if we were able to keep 27 and 33, get a linebacker and a wide receiver, bro, that would be doing things the right way. I don't give a damn what no one says.
Given what we came into the year with.
Now, I will say this. Tony mentioned earlier that, if it goes to a team that is picking him up to be the final piece to be a contender, well, you don't necessarily think that's true for the Cardinals either, do you? Like, they're not does anyone think that the Cardinals are looking to?
No, but here is the thing. Actually, now think about it a little bit more, is that the Cardinals could benefit from a player like a Brian Burns, a guy who is 25, 26 years old, it's not a win now situation. They might be able to negotiate a real contract with him. They have the assets to acquire him. They're trying to build that defense. You remember whoever their coach is, and he's like, I want killers. I want murderers on this team.
Gannon.
Right? Yeah. And so, that's a team that needs to build in their right way. And if they have cap space, and I'd want to say we'll have to look up what their cap space is. We'll check that out. Let's see. If we just look overall, the Cardinals lead they're 5th in cap space right now. So they've got the ability to pay a player like Burns to build a defense. Maybe we need to know, what, we've got some good Cardinals contacts. We need to start getting in on this and seeing how that player could benefit their defensive front.
What's the name of the guy that comes on our show, the former player?
God, you got to give me a second to remember it. Guys, right now is 327. He played tight end for the Falcons too at one point a long time ago. I'll come up with it in a second. 327 people watching right now. Make sure you repost, smash the thumbs up button. I'd love for you to jump in the comments and say how you're watching right now. Right? Say I'm on X, say I'm on YouTube, say I'm on Rumble, say I'm on. Hopefully we get all of those. Let's take another call.
Yo, what's good, my C3 family? D, Sanford, North Carolina. Yo, shout out to the great Tony Dunn. Shout out to the homie Cody Lack. Hey, I'm not going to go through the whole rundown, but shout out to the whole C3 family because I've just adopted such a family.
The homie D.
Well, the
Appreciate
inevitable happened. Brian Burns has been franchise tagged, and we know he's getting traded. I just don't see a world or a possibility where he stays. I was on a great and wonderful spaces with D's and Pickle and all them, and we were just talking about, at least what it means, how we feel, and so forth. And I mean, even though it was delivered in mixed bags, everybody was pretty much still within the same lane of thought that pretty much, this was the end and he's gone and so forth, and starting to think about the compensation and the non-exclusive tag. I'm going to say 2-second rounders, who knows? But like I said in Spaces when I was closing it out or whatever, let's just trust the process. Let's keep hoping and praying that they continue to make the right decisions and we keep making incremental improvement. And that's all that we can ask for. And if we can happen to catch lightning in a bottle, so be it. But at the end of the day, hey, we have a bad product right now, and anything that improves the product, we got to be all for. So at the end of the day, keep your head up. Let's get ready for this free agency frenzy come around, I think, on the 11th. Then we got drafted into April. So let's just get ready, cheer our team on, and just hope for the best. It's going to be an up and down year, but I feel like we're going to be better than last year. So, hey, shout out to the longest running and the greatest Panther podcast on the YouTube streets and on the internet. That C3 Panther podcast. I love you, family. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. D, it's going to be better than last year just because we got you a part of C3 Nation, brother. We appreciate you, man. All the joy and the uplifting energy that you bring to the cat calls. We appreciate you, man. Everyone appreciates you, man. Shout out to our boy Lou in the chat room. Tar Heels 81, but we got the whole crew. Bill Cravens hanging out. Yeah, man. CK, check the private chat too.
Ooh. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast around. Calls are rocking in. The number's 252-228-5098. We've got some of the longtime loyal lovers of the podcast. We'd love to have new callers joining us on our ride at this point to free agency. Hop in the car. We're heading to free agency, talking Carolina Panthers all along the way. All are welcome. Next call.
What's up, guys? It's Chase from Anderson. So the realistic
What's up, Chase?
outcome of the Brian Burns tag is he's going to either play with the Panthers or he's going to sit out. Because how often do you see the non-exclusive, whatever the franchise tag they used on them, on a non-franchise level player getting a deal done with another team and the picks that were required to go with that situation? It doesn't happen. So Brian Burns is not getting $25+ million plus multiple picks, not for 2 first rounds now anyways, and that kind of contract. Maybe then negotiate for less trade compensation, but most likely outcome, he'll be playing with the Panthers at least one more year, or he'll sit out. Heck, you never know. So the franchise tag is worth $24 million for him. So maybe he said, "Well, I guess the market's not what I thought it was," and he agrees to the.
He has no choice.
$27 million a year contract he was offered to begin with, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to trade him. Nobody's going to give that money to him and those multiple draft picks.
All right, thanks. Great call. Let's continue through. This is your show. Let's see what you got to say. Let's see.
Hey guys, I'm going to tell you, as much as people are focused on draft picks, we need to be focused on undrafted free agents, rookie free agents this year, and possibly even next year, but especially this year with the cap issues. You're talking about you want dogs, Dan Morgan, you want dogs, you go find these undrafted guys that feel slighted. these guys that should have went, but they were overlooked because of being short, or maybe there was a medical thing, or maybe they played at HBCU or somewhere that was a Division II. You go get some guys like that. I'm not saying that you're going to go get a bunch of Pro Bowlers, but look at all the top teams. They all have guys starting for them. And I'm talking about these top teams all have multiple guys who are undrafted rookie free agents that turn into at least good starters, if not death pieces. As talent poor as the Panthers are, you could go out there right now and offer them higher signing bonuses as rookies and the ability to come in and compete to play, if not guaranteed to play. That's where the Panthers should be focusing, not on these veteran free agents, but on rookie free agents. Go out there, find lots of those dogs. Go out there, find guys who are willing to fight. Go out there, find guys who want to make a name for themselves.
That's well, thank you for the call. That does, you know what, is that you're probably onto something, is that the Panthers are going to be looking at the scraps. This is the Dave Gettleman. This is when we need Dave Gettleman. We're going to be shopping at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
That's the truth. You do want to get those players. The problem is those players often suck or are not great, right? Like, yeah, I love Damiere Byrd, undrafted free agent, arguably far better than half of these people that y'all love. I love Cameron Artis-Payne, far better than Chuba Hubbard, but I mean, not even close. But the problem is that these players are good when they can be okay or, you know, serviceable when they're on teams that have good players around them. Right. So unless you're trying to tank this year, you can't entirely do that. What I think this, though, is if the Carolina Panthers do acquire some trade assets, guys, for Brian Burns, even if it's like I said, it's like, let's trade all these fuckers away for 4th and 5th round picks. And then you package a deal together that says we give you 2 3s, and 2 4s, and we get a second. That player's starting this year. You know, he's going to start. Whoever we draft is going to get an opportunity. No Jamie Robinson sitting on the fucking bench all year. The rookies are going to play this year.
I haven't been wanting that forever. Even back to when Ron Rivera was here, not playing rookies how he wanted to, or giving them
Brian
enough
Burns,
scraps.
by the way.
Yeah, dude, we have Brian Burns as a gunner on special teams. It's like, come on, Ron. But that's a blessing and a curse, though, Tony, because look at Chandler Zavala last year, who was forced into playtime at both right guard and left guard. Yep. And he looked like a rookie that was forced to play right guard and left guard during the season.
Totally. I know. But guess what? Get ready for it.
Yeah.
Particularly maybe on defense.
You're gonna have to throw these guys to the fire. Yeah.
And if anything, is you just try to do anything at this point. Right now, we're trying to fill out a roster. You know, that's what we're really worried about. But the problem is that you just don't have any money. And sinking money into a temporary ship is what we've kind of done. You don't need another Miles Sanders fucking signing.
We always had the idea that we're a few players away, and it was always a lie.
And last year,
or it was misguided, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's my point. Is I think we're gonna, and it's scary to say that. Do you tank when you got Bryce?
I mean, you can. And this is something that Cody's been saying for a while. There's a difference between tanking and tanking as a coach and tanking in a way that is organizational, right? Yeah. And so
tanking happens in the front office, not on the field,
right? And so no, you don't tank in the eyes of Bryce Young. You tank in the maybe in the department of we're not going to win many games this year, but Bryce Young can still show improvement because you can have the offense still be a good offense. Maybe that puts you back a little bit on the.
Maybe you trade all these guys for offensive guard linemen. You trade all of those people and you just say this: we're going to get offensive line. We'll have fucking mediocre receivers. We'll have whoever we can piece together. As long as you don't get killed, that's the only thing we can do this year.
Yeah, I mean and we might win more games than they want to win, And it might hurt us a little bit, but it's not going to be significant enough to where it'll be a big deal to the draft stock of what we're dealing with that year.
Is this the first year where we really truly walk into the season and say we don't expect to win?
Yep.
Hardly anything. You know, we
Yep.
tried to maybe the
Can you
Matt Rule
imagine-
year, the first year we said, oh, we're okay with it. But every other year we're like, oh, we might be 500. We might be
going into this season when it's time to do our predictions. I can't imagine any of us predicting over 4 wins.
I don't know
really?
that. I don't know that any of us would be able to predict more than 2.
That's fucking terrible.
And Tony,
I always thought
I-
5. I just usually think 5 is a terrible season.
But Antonio, I told you earlier, if that is the case, if that does happen, and if there are some good quarterbacks available next year,
There
we're picking high, yeah, they always say that. They always say that.
No,
and
we're
then
gonna
there's
get the top
there's
defensive
always some
ends. We're gonna
quarterback that comes out of nowhere. And I'm not even saying that they will draft him, Tony, but the amount of Panther fans that are going to be ready to sail or to ship Bryce down the Nile River, dude, it's going to be numerous.
It's going to get loud.
Numerous.
Fucking ugh. You know what? I'm exhausted already.
You're welcome.
I know.
I'm exhausted. Let's keep
I
going.
hear you.
What up? This is Rude Life NASA. Loving the show. Watching every
Rude Life.
Tuesday.
What's up, brother?
You want my
handicapped brethren.
Turn the whole thing down. Hell, the team was so bad. Me and Cody can sit in our wheelchairs here and just be wide receivers, bro. That's how bad it was, bro.
Shit, we out there rolling, boy.
You're rolling backs.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
y'all were trash. Now, I do think
Downhill rollers.
coach is going to do better. We might win a good 6-7 games. You know what I mean? But, hey, we could everybody for the C3 Panther podcast, from the fans to y'all, bro, we could all be on the team. We could do better than we did last year. Burn the whole thing down. Let's do a rebuild. Jeez.
I think I think we're agreeing on that. The problem, Cody, is there was sometimes we said this years ago. You know, it's like it really sucks when you've postponed it to where it's not as effective.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. We don't have players to ship off really that are going to garner a ton of attention.
And the ones we do are like 5th or 6th round picks that we're getting back for him.
And even the other part of it is the people that we could ship off are going to be cornerstones to our success. You know, you don't get rid of, left tackle like Icky. You don't get rid of J.C. Horn if he's going to turn out to be a good. You certainly don't get rid of an interior lineman like Derek Brown.
You know, the problem is you can't get rid of JC right now. It's just better. God, you know what? JC Horn is going to be the fucking death of us, dude. What if he comes out and is good next year?
Great.
JC Horn.
Yeah, great for us but then you know what you are? You don't have his 5th round option. Fifth year option.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we don't have to take it.
We're not there yet
until next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
next year.
We're not there yet. You sure?
No.
Yeah.
So we're going into his third.
Yeah, this will be his
I
third
think we have
season.
to pick it up before this season, though.
No.
No?
You have to pick it up before his 4th season, and this is his 3rd.
No.
So he's going. No, he's going into his 4th because we drafted Horn. We drafted Horn, then we drafted Icky, and then Bryce last year. So this will be his 4th year. So yeah, after
if we have to pick it up, I think the team doesn't pick it up. Then he goes out there and plays well. And then you're fucking going, oh, do we sign him or not? Do you let him walk? Do you sign him? And then you're in this conundrum because the dude's been hurt all the fucking time. But then he's going to be one of those players that's going to come out of it like Christian McCaffrey or something like this. He's just not going to come out of it with us. But you can't get no trade value for him right now. Nobody's going to do shit.
No, he's too hurt. He's too hurt, man. And by the way, speaking of people like Shayna putting out stuff, Shayna and Vashti were doing a Spaces today. And Vashti, Carolina Blitz, shout out. Also love what they're doing over there. She pretty much insinuated that she had like some kind of inside knowledge that Christian McCaffrey, when he was here and when he was hurt, that he was doing what you were saying the whole time, Tony, that he was just making calculated decisions on whether or not to play for a season that doesn't mean anything.
I don't think it was him. I think it was the team.
Agree.
I don't think it was him.
That was always our belief that year, is that it just felt like the team felt like it was a lost season, so we didn't put him out there. He almost seemed irritated that he wasn't out there.
Yes. And then you heard Trey Ball or somebody else saying how this guy he practices the same way he plays, that he never took any snaps off, and then they were practicing him every day. I think once the team saw, so I disagree with her, but hey, if she's got inside knowledge, I don't. But I've watched the team carefully, and I just knew that Christian McCaffrey, we were paying him a shit ton of money, and he would get nicked up. And then you're like, do we rush him back? And then by the time it was time to get back, the season was fucking out of reach. And it just seemed no reason to risk him for the long term. And I think this is, you saw him play injured in the playoffs, and he hurt his neck in the last, he would have done it. It's just, do you do it? You don't take that risk when it's not worth anything. So I don't believe that. I believe that the team protected him as a financial interest more than him being like, nah, I'm not ready to go.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think we had I think there was a large majority of people that believed that he could have played in the final games of a couple of those seasons. And
they were meaningless.
Yeah, they were meaningless. And I don't think any of us were mad by that fact either. I think we were.
Yeah. Do you remember all they were talking about is, you're giving them too many carries, or working them too hard.
Right. Yeah.
If anything, the better thing would have been is just not trade them. And then hope that your team gets better. Like, it would have been nice to have Christian McCaffrey beside Bryce Young. That would have been helpful. That would have been helpful.
And DJ and Christian, that would have been insane.
All right, next call.
Oh, hell yeah, Panther Nation. This is George giving you a call tonight.
What up, George?
I think thinking about free agency is the wrong approach. We're not going to get anybody exciting. We're going to lose a bunch of players. Good news is there's a lot of great wide receivers in the draft, and I think we might get a chance at somebody like Jermaine Burton. We'll see. I was really hopeful Xavier Worthy would come to us, but I don't think that's going to happen with that 40. But the point is, there's like 6 to 8 guys that are quality, and I think we can pick up some, maybe even trade back a little bit. Burns, I think we got to trade him at this point, unfortunately. And I think the only player we got to keep, regardless, is Brian Burns. I mean, Derek Brown, and we got to keep him because I got his jersey. So that's my thoughts for tonight. Love you guys. Thanks for all the good times, and keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Appreciate that.
CK, you want to go first? What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think Derek Brown's the guy. I mean, and to talk about, this is a fire sale. You've got to trade. I mean, again, if we keep him, we keep him. The hope is that he does come out and he has a great year, meaning Brian Burns, Tony. The caller was talking about him being we need to trade him. We need to get rid of him. The only player you don't need to get rid of is Brian Burns. Is the sentiment that I think is overwhelmingly the popular consensus among Panthers fans at this point in time. But I think this move is a win-win. If we can trade him, it's a win. If we keep him and he plays well this year, or even if he doesn't, it's a win. We've got some stability on this team while they're trying to define their identity. And then next year, as much as we we hate the idea of next year will be better, this will be better, cap space will be better. We're going to have better draft capital next year, regardless. So
I just look at this cap situation. I don't know how to navigate it.
Oh, I don't either, because you're right. I mean, I remember distinctly last year, it was a conversation we were having about how much cap space we were going to have, and it was going to be an abundant amount.
Yep.
And
where
we don't. And it just feels like it disappears for no reason whatsoever, because there's nothing. It's not as though we went out there and signed some massive $100 million contract with somebody. It just, the money doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I'm sure if we wanted to put some effort into it, we can go back and track and see what the reason was, what moves happened after we saw that happen, all that stuff. And maybe the downside is we've had such high draft picks for the past few years that our first round draft picks take up a lot of our.
They do command a significant amount of money. You're right. And you can't let go of those. All right. White Chocolate Espresso with the $1.99 love bomb as a C3 superfan said, just got done watching Dune 2. This fucking movie, Chef's Kiss. Wow. That's awesome. I like the first one a lot.
Yeah, the first one.
I did feel like it kind of
drug on
it. Well, and also ended without like in a premature way, in a way. You know what I'm saying?
But they're also designed.
Why is it so long? But also the ending is so not lackluster, but then it's like meant to be 3 books or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 total books by Frank Herbert.
And I just felt like if that's the case, they should have done it in 3 movies instead of 2. Right, like is to get these moments. Anyway, I'm excited.
But they do it on purpose because they know that they're going to be able to sell 3 Dune movies with Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, and it's like,
that's what I'm saying is that to make it long, but also not have a good ending. You should have stopped it at a point where you could have gone a second and a third. But hey,
real quick, off topic. The 3rd episode came out tonight. If you are not watching Shogun on FX, you need, dude, it is incredible. It's incredible. It's the highest rated premiere on Rotten Tomatoes since Game of Thrones.
Wow.
It's absolutely incredible. It's about a real portion in history between Japan, the Portuguese, the Dutch. Dude, it's on FX. So if you have a Hulu account, you can watch it there. Dude, it's brutal too. It's not like it seems like it should be on HBO or Showtime.
Right. They put out, they're able to do that now on cable. FX puts out some real deal. I think Griselda was FX.
No, Griselda was
was that Netflix?
That was
Netflix. With what's her name? I forget.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, Sofia Vergara.
It was pretty good. I liked it. It was all right. I just got done watching Tokyo Vice. Like that a lot.
I haven't seen the new season. I saw season 1. Did you see the new season?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I need to check that out.
Too short.
Yeah, everyone go check out Shogun, man. Dude, the visuals, the acting. It's in Japanese and English. Dude, it's incredible. Have you seen it, CK?
No, I'm now you're putting this out there. I'm certainly going to put that at the priority list of things to watch now. I'm not really watching a tremendous amount of things. I know this is a tremendously off topic, but I've been trying to find some time to be able to watch the Walking Dead stuff because of that whole breaking show and stuff. But
yeah. There's
school.
so much to watch. So if
I know it's like too many.
But that's the best thing about those shows, that there's so much to watch that you can just binge it. Like me and my buddy Vince.
Unlike Tokyo Vice, where you can watch it all. I watched both seasons in like 3 days. And now
one of my favorite shows ever is Shameless. And I've been
7 seasons.
Dude, I love it. I've been re-binging that. It's incredible. And yes, it does feel like a Game of Thrones type of show.
I watched Bear. If you've seen that, that's
people love that too.
Really good, really good.
People
all right,
love
next call. 2 more calls and we're out of here, or close to
Three Mafia. How you doing?
Paisan.
I jumped in a little late today. I just got back from the gym, doing a bunch of fucking dumb shit, trying to get my fat ass in shape for the summer. You know what I'm saying? Tony, I know you know what I'm saying. Anyway, Burns, he got tagged. He's it. So there's that. Trade him. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen if any team's got the balls to take on that type of money and that type of risk. Yeah, I think he's a risk. You know, I've seen a couple tweets like, "Ooh, elite pass rusher Brian Burns got franchise tag." I'm like, elite's a strong word. You know, he's good, but he's just another guy in my opinion. They're saying Dante's getting cut. Okay. Fucking the guy with the golden hair, Hayden Hurst, he got cut. No, that kind of sucks. I was hoping something would happen, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Other than that, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody's touched on everything I just said. So every cat call has been kind of like a repeater with a different voice. So I'll end it on this. What do you call lesbian with braces? You give up? A box cutter. Ha! All right.
Zing. All right, next call.
Yo, what's up, C3? Cody, Tony.
What up, Al?
Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, man. We're gonna tag Burns, and I don't know if we're gonna trade him, bro. I think he'll probably be here next year. Although I don't really want him here next year, but I think he'll be here next year. And Dante getting cut. I mean, it is what it is. It's the business. There's a lot of moves being made right now. Dan Morgan's making moves. Dan Morgan's trying to get his team back to relevancy. And I think he's on the right track. We don't need no more hurt players. We don't need people who don't want to play for the team. We don't need none of these guys. So, I mean, if we can get Burns up out of here, I would like that. And then, yeah, man. We just see what happens, bro. We just keep this shit going. It's a new start of the new year, the new league year, and we'll just keep it going. We have, we just enjoy the content. You guys have a good night, and thanks for having me on the show. All right, guys. Later.
Thanks, Al, man. We appreciate it. In a good mood tonight, Al. Al usually calling and throwing bullets at people or at players.
I think we're all a bit agnostic about this. The team as a whole, we're optimistic in some ways, but I think the majority of us have just stopped being emotionally charged by this.
We've been through a lot, boys.
Yeah,
we've been through a lot. We've been beaten, battered, bruised, bloodied. And again, like I said earlier, no one's really expecting the Panthers to compete for anything next year. Like, to a T, that's the opinion of this fan base. That, like,
finally we got realistic.
2 or 3 years.
Finally, we're realistic there. Yeah, Lou, I played all your call. I got everybody's call tonight. 2 calls from Lou. Got those early. I don't think I missed anybody, so we should be good.
And Panther Gal, House of the Dragon season 2, I believe it's coming out this summer, so that'll be this year too. Y'all know I'm pumped for that, man.
Yeah, so that is all looking good.
You killed your camera for some reason.
Yeah, I'm good. So, all right. I think we got all the calls. Yeah, Lou, we hit yours early in the show. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast on the interwebs. We're here every Tuesday night into usually the wee hours of the morning. We've got lots still to talk about. Not tonight. I think that will save the draft talk for the coming weeks. We'll continue. We've had a deep discussion on free agency. Obviously, you saw Xavier Worthy or whatever the guy's name, Worthy, set the record with the 4.21.
Let me plug some stuff, Tony. On the Friday, me and the boy, the homie, Diesel Skills, we're putting together the first C3 big board. So we are literally going to have our own board, just like the Carolina Panthers do, from number 1, down to whatever number we end up going through. And then we're going to start using this board to do a mock draft every Friday. And we're going to do this every Friday, y'all. And the Friday show is for the fans, by the fans. Come on the show, be a part of it, join via StreamYard, and be a part of this draft process, man. C3 is about to kick it into high gear when it comes to draft mode.
Go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can hit the shop tab. Hit shop gear. You can get stuff like the C3 mug, which is the dopest of them all. My favorite of all the products. But we also have other. We've got some fan We've got how about this? Is you want to talk about a show that's made by the fans for the fans? We've got callers that have and friends of the family members that have their own clothing lines. We got the G Baby, you make me fucking sick line. We got the Panther Pickle, shut the hell up line. Guys, you can support the C3 Panthers podcast by supporting us by our sponsors, by also our merchandise, but most importantly, calling into the show, subbing up, telling someone about it, and being here with us next Tuesday, this Friday, and throughout the off season and into the regular season. Guys, one last segment on the longest running Panthers podcast, the longest running segment. And that's the Ice Up picks, guys. This is our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Cody, let's ice some fools up. He's muted. Look at that. Producer Cody muted. Where's the bumper? I didn't give him any notice.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Ice up, Cody.
Wait for it.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Guys, are you ready to ice some fools up this week?
I am just gonna go first, so I can.
Okay, I got a TK. You got anything, or you need me to rock and roll?
You go ahead.
Okay, so
I don't have nothing.
He doesn't ever, not ever. He sometimes brings them. His are always serious though when he brings them. All right, so my first one is actually a oldie but goodie, but it made me giggle today. Now, this was a tweet from 2019, I think, but this is a meteorologist who said, update, get ready for a pounding. Some of us could see 8 inches or more. That's too much even for me. Could not stop giggling when I read that. Got a proof that it's kind of like the tight end hole to fill, like we were talking about earlier. This one, man, what the fuck is this?
Oh, I've been seeing that shit online. I have no idea, man.
It's called something rat mole, blind crack mole or something. But this thing,
blind mole rat.
Yeah, blind mole rat. Ice up. That shit is fucking looks like it's from Dune.
Dude, that's a face only a mother could love right there, man.
And here is my real ice up pick. This is where'd it go? The saddest of all stories here to me. So this couple has been they've been on a global trip. They've been riding motorcycles throughout. They're trying to do as many countries as they possibly can. They've been through over 25 countries. They were in India and they parked their bikes. They had tents, so they're kind of like nomadic bikers. But they were assaulted, beat up, held by knife points, and she was gang raped by 7 men in India.
What?
Dude, ice up to India. What is up with the gang rapes, dude? Like, why is it that these Indian dudes are... Have you heard these stories about people on a... Jeez, Miranda.
No.
That you've heard these stories of these busloads of people. It's just like, man, I mean, rape is bad enough. The whole, like, I'm at the 31st person in line for the rape is even ice up to those fools.
I can answer a little bit of that. There is, so where I work, we, obviously have a lot of people in India, and they'll come over to, look at our site and, kind of see how we do things, see if they can improve on what they're doing, et cetera. And one of the things that we've learned in that time is the Indian people are an incredibly sexual people. They absolutely, like, when I'm telling you the amount of girls that are in our office that go with them, and it's just it's ridiculous. And so I think that there is something about that I'm not saying it's right, but I think that it's because they are so sexual as a people. I mean, let's be real about it. The Kama Sutra comes from there. And so I think that has a little bit to do with it. Maybe a lot to do with it, to be honest with you. It's messed up, but it's
A
It is
billion
the reality
people
of it.
in the Ganges River is a problem there. Watch out what's in the water there. Ice up to
All
that.
right.
That's
So,
Go
Tony,
ahead.
I have, were those all of yours? I have 3 of them.
Yep, that's all I got this week.
All right. Number 1, why would your dumbass ever be on the hood of a moving car?
Oh, she's out.
Oh, dun, 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 wow. Ice up. That's pretty stupid of you to be on top of that car. This one, I did this because I felt like it would make Tony laugh, just because how stupid it is. But I don't know. Would you do this on a Saturday night with your evening? All right, let me back up. It's connected to his ass.
Oh my god!
Are they like nipple clips?
Dude, he's like, he has hooks connected to his ass.
They're like jumper cables.
No, I think it was like the piercing.
How did that not rip his ass off?
One more time.
We should have quote stars. And it should be Tony. How did that not rip his ass off?
Panther Gal said that's why women outlive guys. Boy, that's especially true after this next one. Man, especially on the 4th of July, this guy's gonna really need to be icing something up.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh no.
Oh my god, dude.
This is Idiocracy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're living it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You're listening to the
So I said to all
I got-
those buffoons.
I got you one. And Tony, you're gonna like this one, in my opinion. Just based off of the first comment that I have on this one. But let me.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody dying this week. I did
That's
see
always
somebody try to knock down this a log cabin like an idiot, and he was like knocking it, and it was like one log to go, but he didn't fucking think he was under the whole thing, and it just come out the roof.
Oh
And
god,
stupid fuckers, man.
All right, so Tony, you loved this one, and I read this and I legitimately laughed out loud at work. Well, not at work, but on my way home from work.
Is this the white rapper thing?
Nope.
Oh, that one was great.
This is AB.
Oh god.
So AB has just been on a run lately.
Dude.
Do you think he's doing it?
I don't know, dude.
Do you think he's
I'm really
paying
going
somebody to do it?
Maybe.
I mean, it's not hard to make an AI photo.
Maybe. But here's the dude says he's on a historical run, and he says hashtag CTESPN.
Oh, and what's the first comment say below it?
It says, may have found your calling. CTESPN is the funniest shit I've heard in a minute.
It is, man. Oh, we talked about this on the Friday free for all for a second. Is
The reason
him
this
leaning into this shit.
Dude, he's leaning into it 100%. What was it? The one
I do take homage. The best one is when he did the crackers at Barstool. If you scroll down a little bit more, and he's like, "Hey, look at the people at Barstool," and it's just this like AI image.
Crackers at a computer.
Oh, dude, it's so fucking good. But
I saw the one I sent you yesterday. He was comparing that Caitlin Clark.
That's the one I got a problem with. It's like you've gone too far. Keep going, CK. Scroll far faster. I'll tell you.
You want me to pull that one up?
Hold on. This cracker.
I have it right here.
Yeah, this one's too far, dude. When he put the hashtag, it's one thing to put the Mel Gibson shit up there. But then when he hit the hashtag Passion of the Christ, too far, AB. Too far.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The one is what happened to the one? No, it was way before that. Keep going. You'll see it. It's like an AI image, like the last one. God, does he really? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
This is my favorite.
Funny is funny.
Yeah. Even Dave Portnoy thought it was funny. So I think the best part is the hashtag CTESPN. That's
what I was thinking
next
about,
level
dude.
funny, dude. We've all talked about him having CTE, and he's like, now I'm reporting. I'm reporting.
He's 100% just leaning into that. It's hysterical.
This young black guy at the gym I hang out with, he's real cool, man. He said you got to follow Donald Trump's Instagram. That motherfucker is funny as shit. I was like, damn, good gosh,
dude, Donald Trump. He is the funniest president ever. If you love him or hate him, dude, he is.
All right. Ice up. Who you icing up, CK?
I mean, I'm just icing up every situation involved with AB because the dude
now there was a video that surfaced about a baby mama on a TV, like on a game show, and where she said Antonio Brown's her baby mama or baby daddy, and then he's out there railing. He said something about 25-year-olds want scam, then they want get paid, then they pay him off, and and I was like, dude, what are you gonna whip your dick out and jerk off in the pool in Dubai again, where you could have gotten killed or whatever? Remember that? He's fucking bananas, man. But I think he's found his calling with this AI.
That and being a troll on the internet.
Oh, totally. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. You see the tags. Hit us up on Twitter. We're on iTunes. Tune in. Not tune in. Yeah, tune in still exists, I think. iTunes. No more Google Podcast. Wherever the fuck you get your podcast these days other than iTunes. We're all there. And we're here all the time. Cody Light, take us out of here.
C3 Nation. Until next time. Keep pounding.